Hello everyone, Little Kiki here, and today, this is the third episode on making your first game in Unity. So in the last episode, we got the character to move around, and it simply works like so. And we also, it was kind of also an introduction to variables. So in this episode, we're going to get the camera to follow the player around. So, I'm going to create a new C# script and call this camera movement. So now let's open it up in Visual Studio. Let's delete this comment and lower this down. And if we do everything right, what we want to do is create a public transform called player. Now you can call it whatever you like, but what this is that it takes in like a Vector 3 kind of, and it literally is just the position and stuff. But there's a catch. What the transform is that it is the position, rotation, and the scale. So you can also create a game object variable, and if you do, you can access a game object things like destroying it, for example. But we don't want to do stuff like that, so we're just going to do this. So we don't need the start method for now. So what we're going to want to do is that we're going to do void update transform.position equals player.position. So a game object works just fine, but if you do have a game object, you're going to do .transform.position, and that works here, but it's a lot more efficient if we just lower it down to .position. Okay, so let's save and let's see if this works. So first thing to do is dragging the camera movement. I always mess up with this and think, why isn't it working? And then realize, oh, I haven't brought it in. So here you'll see that it equals nothing. And if we click on this, you can see lots of stuff here. And that's very confusing. But I'm just going to drag in the player from here. So if we press play and select the camera, if we look into the game view, something weird is happening. And if you actually look at the camera here, you'll notice, well, it's doing what it says. It's following the player, but it's directly inside of the player. So we can fix this by creating a new public Vector 3. I just have to spell it right. Sorry, I'm not very good at typing. A public Vector 3 called offset. So this will offset the camera from the player position. So we're just going to type in plus offset. We're going to save. We're going to head back into Unity. Make sure that maximize on play is off for this, because you're going to need to select things. And what we can do is that by changing this here, we can change where the camera is. And then once you're done figuring it out, you can do copy component, and then exit out of play mode, and paste component values. And the reason we're doing this is because if you notice, we're going to mess around. I like this angle. If we get out of play, it resets. And that's just a little thing about Unity. So now if we look, you'll see that the camera smoothly follows the player. I wouldn't say smoothly, but it follows the player nevertheless. So the camera follows the player. That's good. So I just did some things here. But now, we want to make it so it moves around smoothly. So, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go under here and type in transform dot rotate around. Actually, I think it's look at. And then I'm going to type in the player dot position. So now if we save, go into Unity, let it load, press play, you'll see that if I change this, it's always going to look around the player, no matter what. So you can have this looking around stuff, and you can have lots of fun with it. But what I want to do is that's it. It's really all. And bam, you have your camera movement. Now you can make it more smooth and all, and I'll have a link in the description to a Brackeys video off of that. But we're done with the camera movement. So now what do? Well, let's add in some special effects. So I'm going to get a lot of flack for using this old Unity thing, but I think it works a lot better than the new one. So if we go into post and do free, you'll see this post-processing pipeline. post-processing stack by Unity Essentials and Unity Technologies. It has 5 stars by many people. So after downloading it, you can import it. And this can take a little while to import. So let it do its work. And then, once you're done, press import. And make sure you make a backup because some of this will ruin it. And I haven't made a backup, but I've used this before, and I know that if it does do this, I won't be too sad because for me, it's not a lot. Okay, now it's done loading in. So what we're going to do is that we're going to go to Camera, Add Component. And here you can add lots of things, but in the search bar, I'm going to type in post, and you'll see a script called post-processing behavior. So in here, there's a profile. So what we're going to want to do is create a post-processing profile. I'm going to call PP. Now you can laugh at the name all you want, but this is not an essential part, but it really helps the game. So now if we click on this, a ton of options come up. And, no. Okay, so I'm gonna go back in the layout and create classic. Okay, so here, you can see that there's a lot of things here, but it doesn't fit on mine because that's how mine works. So now what we can do is that we can just play around with lighting a whole bunch. Okay, so let's add the depth of field effect. So if we look here, if we increase it, it increases the depth of field. So now if we go here, you'll see the background is kind of blurry. And that's a cool effect, so I'm going to keep that. And we're going to add in bloom, and whoa, we're going to want to tone it down for sure. In fact, let's not have it at all. I want eye adaptation. I don't know why it's so dark. But what this does is that it makes things a lot more realistic to the eye, which we don't want because it's a colorful game. Motion blur is probably my favorite. So what we can do is that we can add in just motion blur. It's exactly what it sounds like. So let's set this to 1. So now you'll see there's a pretty big motion blur going on. Now this can really hold your eyes if you do it enough. So I'm just going to turn it down to 0.25. I think this is good for a game. So now you can just experiment with stuff. And then for color grading, you can kind of make things a different color. It's always fun to mess around with this stuff. So yeah, that's how you create the post-processing behavior. Well, now I've done that little cube. What do I do now? Well, as you can see, the player kind of floats down. So this is where polish comes in. You probably hear polish a lot in the game industry. So as you can see at the very beginning, our character kind of floats down. It's not very exciting. So I'm going to have him directly off the ground so it doesn't take long at all for him to float. And then he's on the ground immediately, so you can already start to tell the difference in this. So now we have a full working game with a player moving around, camera following, and post-processing effects. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the second part of this. I'm going to add in a jump. Not really the second part, but we're going to make him jump. So we didn't do this in the first part because... Reload. It's going to take a second. Because we are trying to introduce all of this. So, to start off with, I'm going to go down here. Press if. And this is an if statement. It's exactly what it sounds like. If something happens, if input dot get key down, and then in parentheses we're going to do keycode dot space. So what this means is that we're telling this if every frame, if you press space, so if you get a key down and that key is space, like you can change this anything like A, the down arrow, You can change all sorts of stuff, but I think space works with jumping. So what we're going to want to do is that we're going to want to create a new public boolean, mainly so you can access it from method scripts. And we're going to call this is grounded. Remember to always add these semicolons at the end. So, in void on collision enord, we're going to want to create a variable, a collision variable, and if, another if statement, if other dot gameObject dot compare tag, and then we're going to want to put under here, floor. So if we go into here, you'll notice that under the floor here, it's untagged at the moment. So you can go in and create a tag, and press this, and this is just a list of tags. And we're going to want to call this the floor, because this is what we did. So if we go back into here, press tag, and then add a floor, then it should be getting the floor. So what we're going to do is that is grounded equals true, which means that it is on the ground. So now we're going to want to create another is variable inside of this, or you can just do sorry, I need to look for it, is grounded equals true. Now the reason we have two equals is because we can do stuff like this, or we can do this. What this means is that it's not equal to it. What this means is that we don't need it for now, but if it was an integer, it means that if this is equal to or is less than, and you might be saying, well, then I just do this? No, you just do this. So yeah, so we just want to do is equal to, and then RB dot velocity equals new vector 3, because you can do this. You don't have to create a vector 3 for everything. And we're just going to input everything except I'm going to create a new public integer called jump force. Uh-oh. No, get out. Sorry, there's just a little something that happened to me. Jump force, and then I'm going to put jump force into this, as well as move y. So in EnderSight, I have these set to 0. So what this does is that it basically stops all velocity and kind of just flings them up in the air. Next, we're going to put in is grounded equals false. Okay, so what's going on here is that we're creating a collision, which means that whatever it touches, it grabs whatever it touches and creates another variable. And if that other variable has a tag that says floor on it, then it is going to set this boolean to true. And what this means is that and ties into this. So if a key space is pressed and is grounded equals true, then it is going to make us jump, and we'll set is grounded to false because we just got off the ground. What this does, that makes it so we can jump, but we don't create a Flappy Bird in the process. Okay, so now if we let this load, go into player, and press play, something is going to happen. You see, we're not going to be able to jump. Why is that? That's because this jump force equals nothing. Let's set it to 5 maybe. Now as you can see, it doesn't jump that high. So let's set something like 50. So now if we let it touch the ground, you see, it goes up. Though it's not very pretty, it works. So now let's set something really big, like 500. What happens? You see, we jump really high. And there's something weird going on with the mass. I don't know exactly what. But, yeah. Yeah, something a little weird going on. It's coming down very slowly. Maybe if we increase the drag, because I've never had this problem in Unity before. So I don't think it's working. So we're just going to set it back to 0. And we'll try to fix it in the next episode. But for now, what we did in this episode is we made it so the camera follows the player. We added in some post-processing effects. And we made it so you can jump. So this was a very productive episode. So I hope you guys liked it. If you did, smash the like button. And if you're new, why not subscribe for some more content. And I'll see you guys next one. Bye!